What's up, Bulls Nation? It's the Bloody Horns Podcast. I'm your host, Justin. Let's get into it, man. It's a somber day. DeMar DeRozan, he is no longer a member of the Chicago Bulls. He is officially a member of the Sacramento Kings. I'm hurting. I love DeMar DeRozan. I was hoping he'd stick around for a while. You guys saw, on Twitter all week, I kept being like, maybe there's a chance he comes back. Maybe he's holding out, waiting for a Zach LaVine trade to happen. The more time passed, the more I thought maybe there was a shot he would come back and the Zach LaVine trade would happen. Obviously, that didn't happen. I'm happy for DeMar. The Sacramento Kings are a great fit. I released a pod last December, I think, December or January, before the trade deadline, where I laid out the Kings as a great fit for him because their offense is fantastic. It's fast-paced. They get up and down the court. De'Aaron Fox, Domantas Sabonis, they're a great offense. But a lot of times this year in the fourth quarter, you saw when the possessions get bogged down, when they're not able to run, when they got to get it in the half court, they weren't able to do it. So you plug in DeMar DeRozan into those situations, you're a much better team. He's going to give them at least 5 more wins this year. He's going to have them flirting with a 50-win season. They're going to be good. They're going to be players in the West. I'm a big believer in the Kings. Very happy for DeMar DeRozan. Sad as a Chicago Bulls fan, man. This man gave us 3 great years, 25 points a game, 5 rebounds, 5 assists during his 3 years here. Always shot around 50%. He was, I've had a lot of people in my comments be like, well, the team didn't do anything with him the last 3 years. If you think any of that was DeMar DeRozan's fault, you just don't know basketball. He brought professionalism to the Chicago Bulls. A level of professionalism we hadn't seen in like a decade. A level of professionalism we hadn't seen since Joakim Noah, to be honest. I mean, Jimmy Butler was great. But his last year here, when we talk about Jimmy Butler with the Bulls, we never talk about his last year here. His last year here, he was kind of a pain in the ass. He was mad that he didn't get his contract extension. He didn't show up night in and night out. He wasn't busting his ass every night. He definitely took nights off. DeMar DeRozan never took a night off. Similar to Joakim Noah back in the day. Joakim Noah never took a night off, always gave his all. That was the level of professionalism that DeMar DeRozan brought to the Chicago Bulls. He never took a night off. Sure, he had some bad games, but you never were watching him and you were like, oh, DeMar just don't give a shit. You saw him ripping towels, kicking chairs, getting on guys' asses. DeMar DeRozan always gave a shit. He always brought a level of professionalism to the Chicago Bulls. Thanks to DeMar DeRozan, the Chicago Bulls weren't a laughingstock anymore. People forget, people have kind of romanticized the quote-unquote youth movement that the Chicago Bulls had going prior to the 21-22 season when they made all their moves. Wendell Carter was a bust. Zach LaVine was a nice player. Lauri Markkanen was leaving Chicago no matter what. His play had dropped every year substantially. We had guys like Denzel Valentine on the team. Chris Dunn was no good with the Chicago Bulls. Cam Payne sucked with the Chicago Bulls. Like, all the young pieces we had underperformed to a certain level except Zach LaVine. So the Chicago Bulls, prior to DeMar DeRozan getting there, teams came in knowing they didn't really have to try and they were still going to get an easy win. Plug in DeMar DeRozan. Now teams, that beginning of that 21-22 season, the Bulls smacked a lot of teams in the mouth because they were so used to coming to the United Center and not having to play hard and getting an easy win. Wasn't like that anymore with DeMar DeRozan, Alex Caruso, and the rest of the crew. So, shout out to DeMar DeRozan. He brought a level of professionalism, a level of respect back to the Chicago Bulls the last 3 years. I loved watching him play. I first got League Pass in the 16-17 season. That was the year DeMar DeRozan really broke out. And it was my first year with League Pass, so I was watching everything. I was watching 3-4 hours of ball a night, and I watched a lot of that Raptors team. DeMar was a 27-a-game guy that year. That's when I fell in love with his game. Kobe Bryant's my all-time favorite player. DeMar DeRozan, he reminded me a lot of Kobe with his blend of athleticism and craftsmanship, footwork, turnarounds, fadeaways, pump fakes, up and unders, all that stuff. So he's been my favorite player for a long time now. It was a pleasure to have my favorite player on my favorite team. Let's talk about the trade now. The trade sucks. There's no way around it. The trade fucking sucks. We're adding another guard to a guard-heavy team, Chris Duarte. He's a dude. He's only good at shooting threes, and the last couple of years, he had a really good rookie year. The last couple of years, he's fallen further and further off. Last year, he barely broke the rotation for the Sacramento Kings. So Chris Duarte, not excited about him at all. He was an old-ass rookie, too. Wasn't he 24 when he got drafted, which is why he slipped to the end of the first round? So he's an older player. We all got excited when we saw the San Antonio Spurs were entering the sweepstakes. We thought maybe we would get our pick back from them. That didn't happen. The Spurs take Harrison Barnes. I low-key kind of like that fit for them. Now they got Harrison Barnes and Chris Paul, two guys who've been there before, two guys who are professionals, two guys who know how to win to a certain extent. You add them to Wemby, they might make a little jump this year. But they take Harrison Barnes, and they just send 2 second-round picks to the Bulls. So the Bulls still don't have their 2025 pick. They got a couple seconds, which I guess that's nice, but you just lost a 25-5-5 guy, and all you got to show for it is a end-of-the-bench guard and 2 second-round picks. I fucking hate this trade. There wasn't a better player you could get out of that trade than Chris Duarte. You couldn't get some sort of wing, some sort of big, anything but a goddamn guard. Somebody who plays a little bit of defense, because we seem to have sacrificed all our defensive pieces this offseason when we lost Alex Caruso. I don't know, man. I hate the trade. I love the fit of DeMar DeRozan on the Kings. I hate what the Bulls got in return. And the thing is, with this team, we're stuck with Zach LaVine now. Zach LaVine's not getting traded. So you look at our 5. We got Giddey. He's going. I promise you guys, I will die on this hill. And if I'm wrong, feel free to keep the receipts and throw it in my face, because I'll damn sure do it to you guys who keep telling me I'm wrong. Josh Giddey is going to return to a 16-8-8 guy. He's going to shoot around 50%. I'm pretty confident he's going to get his three-point percentage around 35%. He's going to be a damn good player. He's going to open up a lot of eyes. He's going to have the ball in his hands a lot this year. We're going to slide Kobe off ball. He's going to average around 20 a game. Patrick Williams, Zach LaVine's going to play the 3. I think Zach LaVine might come back and average between 25 and 28 points a game. He might go on a little bit of a tear. This team is going to be a very fast-paced, high-offense team. Then we got Patrick Williams. All you Patrick Williams supporters out there, you guys know I'm not a Patrick Williams supporter. I haven't seen anything from the kid. All you guys have been saying for the last 3 years is DeMar DeRozan's been holding him back. DeMar DeRozan ain't here no more, so what's holding him back? Patrick Williams, he better make that leap. He better be a consistent 12 to 15-point-a-game guy every single night now that DeMar DeRozan isn't here to quote-unquote hold him back. And then we still got Vucevic. We're not going to be able to get rid of Vucevic, much like Zach LaVine. Nobody wants him. He's going to give us his consistent 16 and 10. Coming off the bench with Ayo Dosunmu, Julian Phillips might make a little bit of a leap. We know Jalen Smith is going to be a welcomed addition. So this team, man, I said it yesterday. This team is better than the 2020 through 2021 Bulls team. That was the year, right? That was the year we traded for Nikola Vucevic. Before we traded for Vooch, before Zach LaVine missed the end of the year with that injury, that team was pacing to be a 9 or a 10 seed. That team was a play-in team. This team's better than that team. So for all the people who think that we're going to tank and get Cooper Flag, I don't see that happening. I think this team's still going to win right around 35 games, maybe even push it to 40 games. And I've had a lot of people be like, well, the Hawks won 36 games. They got the number 1 pick. That's the first time some shit like that has happened since the Chicago Bulls won the lottery to get Derrick Rose way back in the day. That's not a tried-and-true method, not a way to think that you're going to get the number 1 pick. So our pick is top 10 protected. Most likely we're going to be picking outside of the top 10. That pick's going to go to the Spurs. So the Spurs cleaned up real nice in this deal, real nice in the original DeMar DeRozan deal. When you look at all of it, they took DeMar DeRozan, or they traded DeMar DeRozan. They got a pick. They took Thad Young. I believe that trade deadline, they traded Thad Young to the Raptors and got another pick. So they cleaned up real nice here. The Chicago Bulls, they continue to get their asses worked on these trades. And it's hard to watch, man. Like I said, I'm obviously bummed. I'm wearing my DeMar DeRozan jersey right now. I'm about to get a workout in. Figured, let's do one more for the road for DeMar. But, man, I'm bummed. It was a pleasure to watch DeMar DeRozan the last 3 years. Shit just didn't turn out right, man. For the rest of my life, I'm going to be wondering what would have happened if Lonzo Ball didn't get hurt. What would have happened if Zach LaVine didn't get hurt? Because that 21-22 season, that was special, man. The back-to-back game winners, the 50-pointer against the Clippers, the 46-pointer against the Bucks to get our 1 win in the playoffs. DeMar DeRozan, he put that Superman cape on a lot that season. He put it on the last 2 seasons a lot too. So shout out to DeMar. He goes down in my top 10 of all-time great Bulls. I don't know about you guys. Let me know in the comments where you slide DeMar in the top 10 in Chicago Bulls history and what you guys think about this trade.